If you're a high-performing Salesforce admin and you feel invisible at work, I want you to hear this clearly. That is not a personal failure. It is not a confidence issue. And it is not because you're bad at self-promotion. It's a pattern. And it happens most often to the people who are the best at what they do. If you're nodding right now, this video is for you. High-performing admins don't become invisible by accident. They become invisible because of how value is perceived inside the organization. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most organizations do not reward prevention. They reward interruptions. They notice problems. They notice fires. They notice breakdowns. They do not notice the absence of those things. And if your job is to quietly make sure nothing breaks, nothing escalates, nothing explodes, then the better you are at your job, the less visible your work becomes. That is not theory. This is how systems behave. This is the competence paradox. You fix things before they hurt. You see the risks before they materialize. You stabilize processes before leadership ever feels the impact. So leadership experiences calmness. And calm gets interpreted as everything is fine, not as someone highly skilled is holding this together. Your competence removes friction so early that the organization never experiences the cost that you prevented. So there's nothing to react to, nothing to praise, nothing to escalate, just silence. And over time, silence becomes misinterpretation. Here's how invisibility actually forms. Let me name the loop. You anticipate issues. You fix them quietly. You move on to the next thing. No announcement, no drama, no visible disruption. Leadership learns unconsciously. Salesforce runs. Requests get handled. Data looks great. So when decisions are made, you're not seen as a strategic input. You're seen as behind-the-scenes infrastructure. Necessary, dependable, replaceable. Not because you are, but because your work never forces attention. This is where admins internalize the wrong story. Here's the dangerous part. At some point, you start telling yourself, if I just explain better, they'll see it. If I speak up more, they'll notice. If I work harder, it'll eventually show. So you compensate. You overfunction. You overdeliver. You absorb more of the chaos, which makes the system even smoother, which makes you even more invisible. That's the trap. And it's brutal because it punishes excellence. This is not about personality. Let me be very clear. This has nothing to do with being introverted or not playing politics or not being loud enough. I've coached admins who are articulate and confident, respected peers, still invisible. Because invisibility is not about volume. It's about how value is framed. And right now, your value is framed as maintenance, not leadership. Here's why this hits admins harder than other roles. You see, most roles create visible artifacts. Sales has numbers. Marketing has campaigns. Product has launches. Admins create absence. Absence of outages. Absence of chaos. Absence of bad decisions showing up later. Absence does not trend on any dashboard. So unless someone knows how to interpret systems, they don't know how to interpret you. That's the structural problem, not you. Let's talk about the moment people get stuck. You see, this is where admins freeze. They sense something is off. They feel undervalued, but they can't point to a single failure. So they doubt themselves. Maybe this is just the job. Maybe I shouldn't expect more. Maybe I'm lucky to have stable income. And that's how high-performing Salesforce admins quietly shrink their own identity in order to fit a role that was never designed to see them. Let me share with you one quiet truth that changes everything. Here's the reframe. This is the only one you need today. Stability is not neutral. Stability is an outcome, and outcomes come from judgment. If you are the person who's constantly deciding what matters, what can wait, what will break if ignored, what risk is real versus imagined, you're already operating at a leadership level. The problem is not that you aren't leading. The problem is that your leadership is invisible because it prevents pain instead of reacting to it. So here's how the pattern actually gets broken. I'm not going to give you tactics today. No scripts, no templates, no say this in meetings, just awareness. Because the first break in this pattern is internal. It's this. If you stop treating quiet prevention as background noise, and you stop assuming others know what your calm represents, not by talking more, not by selling yourself, but by recognizing internally that what you do is not support work. It is system stewardship, and stewardship has consequences. Positive ones before you do anything else. If you try to be more visible without understanding this pattern, you're going to feel fake. You're going to feel pushy and misaligned because you're going to still believe deep down that your value should speak for itself. This video isn't asking you to change your behavior. I'm asking you to stop mislabeling your own role. Once you see the pattern clearly, the next moves become obvious, but not rushed. The quiet empowerment that I want you to leave with is this. If this video described your life, I want you to hold one sentence. I am not invisible because I lack value. I'm invisible because my value prevents disruption. That's not a flaw. It's just unnamed. And unnamed things don't get protected. If this felt uncomfortably accurate, good. That means you're not broken. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're standing inside a system that doesn't know how to see your quiet leadership. And now you do. That awareness alone changes how you carry yourself going forward. We'll talk about what comes next another time. For now, just stop blaming yourself for a pattern you were never taught to recognize in the first place.